many people don't fail because of a lack of like anointing on their life, or a lack of vision that they have, or a lack of excitement around something that they feel like God's placed on their heart. But I would say most people fail because of a lack of alignment amongst their teams.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the All In podcast, where every single week we're trying to bring you content to help you live all in with your lives. For those of you that just discovered the podcast or found us via YouTube or whatever, and you have no idea what we do or who we are, we're a part of a local church in Bowling Green, Kentucky called City Light Church, which means I get to spend some time every single week with some amazing people. And today you're going to get to hear from them. I have joined with me my usual co-host, Ross Millett, everybody. Ross doesn't just produce and create podcasts in his spare time. He's also our creative director at our church, which we're going to get into that. But then we also have Mr. Gabe Freitas, who is our executive pastor.
Tip of the cap.
Gabe's style is always A1,
Yo,
to be honest.
What can I say?
what's the special occasion today?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
You forgot about it?
I forgot about that. Yeah, go ahead, Ross.
It's both of these guys' birthday today.
Which is insane. Yes, you heard that right. We
As
were
I filmed
born on
it.
the same day.
Yeah.
Man.
Which actually,
Happy birthday.
that's probably part of the story that you'll end up telling about how Gabe got here.
Yeah.
But yeah, happy birthday, fellas.
Thank you.
Yeah, our church, a lot of our people didn't know that. And so every time I have to, no, seriously, we have the same birthday.
They're turning
Maybe 3 or 4
37
times.
and 32 today. So.
Dude, if I was in my 30s, I'd be shook. Like, I'm not far along yet.
What? I'm about to throw hands.
No, you do have to quantify it for people. They're like, you're playing a sick joke.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty bizarre.
No, we really were born on the same day. And so, yeah, I thought it would be helpful for the listeners to hear. We're going to get into what I really think is one of the most important things, which is the value of team, relationships, friendships, all those things. But you guys are, Ross, you are always behind the scenes in literally everything. Gabe, this is your first time on the All In Pod.
Yeah.
So you're unknown in that regard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I feel very
You
fully
feel loved.
seen now.
Happy
You're
birthday.
unknown.
Happy birthday. Ross, start with you, man. How did you get to be a part of this? Because it's a pretty cool story.
You want the long version?
I mean, we
Mid
have
version?
no time limit here.
Well,
If you don't like what he's got to say halfway through the story, just
skip forward.
Just log off.
So I have lived in Bowling Green my whole life. Grew up wanting to go to school at Western Kentucky. Loved campus. Never cared to leave home. So I went to Western. I played football in high school, but I was a 120-pound white corner.
Come on.
So I had no aspirations of playing in college.
Rudy.
Even if I had aspirations, they would have gone
Rudy.
anywhere. So I was like an equipment head. Like I just like cleats and gloves and all that kind of stuff. So I just one day emailed our WKU's head equipment manager and asked if they were hiring, and they were. So I was a student equipment manager for 4 years at Western. Met some of my best friends there, but two guys in particular. Well, it was funny. My first week probably working as an equipment manager, I met Ben Flaherty. Mm-hmm. And so we got close, like a few of us got close, but he knew I was a believer, and he just wasn't, like he didn't know
anything.
He didn't know anything about like what faith really meant. I'm not going to disclose the question that the first question about faith that he asked me, because it's probably pretty offensive, but
Everybody's on a journey. Yeah. Everybody's on
no, but he like early on started asking questions, and I just tried to like answer honestly and just show him that like we're not weird people, we're just normal, but we just have Jesus. So long story short, that was freshman year. My junior year, another guy, Bryce Donato, I think it was my junior year. He comes and starts working in equipment. We get super close, and that staff was just like, it is just God that we all met, because it was like we were just all best friends. So Bryce and I got pretty close. He actually helped pull me back into like being an active Christian. So like we were doing Bible studies all the time, and so funny enough, I think my senior year, Bryce sends me this Instagram reel of us, this new church plant in Bowling Green, and at the time I was at another church in Bowling Green, and it was like I was cool where I was, and so I was like, yeah, I'm not going to this interest party. This sounds stupid. And so, like, he kept inviting me to them. It's like, obviously, it's that church of City Light. They were doing interest parties for launch, pre-launch. And, dude, I just, like, not care. I was like, I'm just not leaving. And so.
Because that was the first one, right? That was the first interest party he was trying to get you to come to?
I think he invited me to the first, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll look into it.
And then
like,
you didn't go.
And I didn't go. And then I think
right.
he sent me the invite to the second one. I don't think I was at the second one either.
Where was the first one you went to?
Cafe Kindness.
Okay, so I think that was the third one.
I think I was at the third one. That was the first one that I went to. But so yeah, he invited me twice, and he like tried to explain how he was connected, like why it was cool that, I didn't care. So then
I would love to hear his explanation now.
What, mine?
No, Bryce's.
His perspective.
Yeah. Well,
You should come be a part of this church that doesn't have a service and don't really know when it's going to start, but
yeah.
It's great.
it's awesome.
He ends up, I don't know how you already knew each other from like a camp or something.
Yeah, I knew his youth pastor.
Yeah, so that was weird, like weird connection. Y'all connected. Did you reach out to him to have a Bible study?
No, his youth pastor threw us in a group text and was like, Brennan, meet Bryce. Bryce, meet Brennan. Bryce was one of my students. He goes to Western. Y'all should meet. And we met because, again, I was meeting with anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
And we just met and was like, hey, you want to start reading the Bible together?
Yeah.
And he's like, sure. So, yeah, that's how we met.
So y'all had one Bible study, and then the second one, somehow Bryce convinced Ben to go to it. And again, Ben's the one that was asking me questions as a freshman, whatever. Well, that one Bible study, Ben made the decision to give his life to Jesus. And Bryce told me that, and I was like, what? You said, like, Flaherty? And so, that on the spot convinced me, and then I went to their next, because y'all were meeting every Monday, I think. Every Monday around noon.
Yep.
So, yeah, I went to the next week's Bible study, sat down, and it was like I'd known you for years already.
Yep.
And we just talked, and then from there it was like nothing you ever said about what City Light was going to be made me think that I didn't want to be a part of it. So
You've been ride or die ever since.
Ride or die since.
So explain to people that have no idea what a creative director does. What do you do?
A lot.
Because I've been a creative pastor before at churches, and I definitely get the question. So,
Yeah.
Well,
what does that mean?
I would say it really varies depending on where you're at, probably.
So in our context.
In our context, I'm blessed to be under leadership of two creative people that also like have a pursuit of excellence in creative space. So I definitely feel like I have a little bit of freedom to experiment with things, whereas I don't know, some creative directors, it might just be more of a checklist job description. But I mean, it's anywhere from making graphics for Sundays to Instagram posts to delegating social media. Like our social media gets run by one of our team members, Maya, and she's killer. Like she's just crushing. And I'd shout out Levi and Dave and all the people on our team. Like it's, it makes my job really easy.
Yeah.
But I think the things that I enjoy doing are like, this is part of it. It's really just what can we do from a creative standpoint to improve the experience on a Sunday, but also B, reach people that might not ever even step foot in Bowling Green.
Yeah.
And so how can we do that?
I think a good way to define it too, Ross, is you and your team are trying to figure out ways to make what happens in the room on Sundays live throughout the week.
Yeah.
So whether that's through content and photo and I mean even merch.
Yeah.
The reason we do merch is so that people can wear who we are
Out.
and
Yeah.
it's a question, it's a conversation starter. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been super passionate about socials for a while, and have wanted to do that in a different way. And so, yeah, it's definitely like something that we're gonna discuss further with All In the future. But you know, just I want to inspire other pastors to not let. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it that like a pastor is a content creator. When you think of a content creator, their job description is they need to do 3 things every week, and that is ideate their content, that is script write their content, and that is deliver their content. And when they deliver, they're delivering to a camera or whatever. And upon delivery, that is like the launch point. For a pastor, you're a content creator. You're ideating. You're going to God and you're saying, what am I gonna talk about? What do the people need to hear this week? And then you, in a sense, script write.
Yep.
How are you gonna deliver it? And then you deliver it. But the thing that so many pastors are doing is just letting it die on Sunday. And it's like, why? You put in, you told me like anywhere from 6 to 20 hours for a message every week.
Yep.
And then you're just going to deliver it Sunday and then don't record it and put it on YouTube or clip it up and put it like, don't let it encourage people that live in California. Like,
Yeah. And even if you're a part of the church, if you weren't in the room, it's like you missed out.
yeah, like it just seems like, I don't want to say a waste, but like it doesn't seem like good stewardship. If you have, I mean, everybody carries around one of these, and all you have to do is freaking turn it on and point it at the stage.
Yep.
And then you can post it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's what I'm fired up about right now.
And you're really good at it. You're really good at challenging and getting my brain thinking about that. So, and I want to talk more about the behind the scenes stuff. But Gabe, Gabe has a completely different story, not from Bowling Green.
Nope.
Yeah, Gabe's also a really not creative person. I'm joking. Go back on Gabe's Instagram and look at how creative he was.
Oh gosh. Yeah, listen, everybody has their scars and some open wounds.
Yours are just
still.
public.
Mine I've allowed to be public. So yeah, if you go on my IG, I have intentionally left photos there.
There is something noble about that.
And
Noble
part of my
is one way to
part of my
put it.
mindset and philosophy behind it is it'll one keep me humble, because like what the heck was I thinking in that time to post a literally Photoshop panda next to me or next to my friend.
It was
And
legit work. Like it actually was pretty good.
you don't know how much time I'd spent on that. But two, I'm like, you know what? This is who I am. So I might as well just let people laugh at me, which is probably good too. And maybe
I actually respect that.
Do you feel like you've had a change of season since you moved here?
yeah, in multiple facets.
What were you when you got here? What do you feel like you are now?
So this was something I was just thinking about, Ross, when you were talking, because I feel like when I met Ross, he was in such a different, not necessarily headspace, but in terms of the capacity, like seeing the way you just articulated where you're at, who God's just forming you to be. There is a confidence in how you speak today that is like drastically different
That's right.
than a year ago, which is encouraging, because I'm like, man, I hope that's something similar that people are seeing in me too, which I think, you know, and this is something my wife and I have talked about a lot, is, you know, coming from a previous church, being in ministry basically my whole life, not basically, literally my whole life. Parents moved to the States from another country with the sole purpose and call to pursue ministry. Mm-hmm. It was not anything other than that. So it's like one of those things where I was born into it, but had to really find who I was, despite having a million influences on who I essentially naturally just became to be, because we're all products of our environment to an extent, and how we express that. And so I think for me, naturally, throughout every single season of my life, whether it's been in church specific or whether it's been relationally or even now being a dad, I've had to really learn, all right, what is me? Who am I? And then what's this imposter syndrome that I think we all can sometimes adopt, which is, am I this person because I think this is who I think people want me to be? Or is this who I genuinely believe myself to be? And so there's been moments throughout this past year and some change of being here in Bowling Green now where I've gone home some days and I've had to really ask myself the question, why do I do the things that I do? And I'm not even saying from just a negative perspective, but also some things that are, just flaws that I have that are things that, we all have to an extent and that we're working on. But I'm like, why do I do certain things? And if I don't get to the root of that, I can just make excuses and point the fingers at everybody else in my life.
Yeah.
And so anyways, to answer your question, there's been this kind of year-long journey of hopefully where I feel more and more confident that, okay, here's who I feel like I am, and I can articulate it to people if they were to ask me, hey, what are those attributes?
Yeah.
If you were to define yourself, who are you to other people?
Yeah.
And I don't ever want that to be different than who I am in private, which I feel like at times has almost been in contrast to one another.
Well, from the outside looking in too, there's been a lot of things that have changed about your life from when you got here. Let's see, you got here in November
24.
24. And
So what, we were 2 months old at that point?
yeah, we were literally 2 months old. So from then, now you have a daughter. Mm-hmm. Now you love the South.
Which people, I didn't know that Kentucky was the South, by the way.
Yeah, not the Midwest.
What do you call Florida? You say that. He was in Florida.
Not the South.
It's just not the
Florida's
South.
just
its
not
own
the
category,
South.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you
Tropical.
live in parts of Central Florida, it's very much south.
Southern.
Yeah.
But if you're in a coastal town,
It's coastal.
yeah, it's not.
It's transplants too. And
Right.
Vacation people.
But you also, you came from, I think you would agree with this, the church experience we have on Sundays is drastically different than church environments that you've been around.
Yep.
So, and you would, because we've talked about this, there's a life-giving aspect to it that you really enjoy. So, I honestly think if it would be interesting to see, I don't know if you did this, if you wrote down what you thought moving here, 1 month in compared to now and how it would compare.
Yeah,
But how'd you get here? We skipped the whole story. How did you get here?
that's boring, man. It's not that exciting.
Well, Cliff noted.
Tell a story.
Well, so here I'll give you guys the quick story. So Brennan and I have known each other for years, but I would say we were never really close in friendship in those years. Not for any other reason than different season of life. I was in college at the time. Brennan was kind of new into his ministry journey pastorally and figuring all of that out. And then you and Corey did not have kids at the time.
Nope.
And the experience that we had kind of together at the church that we were at was one that there was a lot of learns, a lot of observations, and probably some things that if we were to maybe navigate it again, it's maybe I would do things differently. But throughout those years, we've always maintained contact because of the same birthday, which I don't know, call it coincidence, but I do think there's obviously now hindsight, maybe God intentionally, as Scripture says, he knew us before all of this. And so who knows how he kind of crafted that. But my wife and I, we were in a season of, like most couples, transition and figuring out where do we want to build our life. And we knew that in order for us to build our life in a way that will last, we wanted to be around people and we wanted to be around a church that we felt really confident that wasn't just a stopgap before our next place.
Yeah.
But not only just the church, but I think the people is it was something that we were looking to. I learned in my previous ministry experience that you really do go as far as the people around you and the quality of the people around you. And I'm a huge team guy, sports background, so naturally I enjoy leading teams. And I think there was an apprehension on my part when I initially reached out to Brennan of, hey, we're in a season of transition. do you have anything available? Do you know of any churches locally? Do you know of any pastors who would see me as an asset to their team? And I can remember the conversation, kind of after of, hey, consider City Light, pray through this. After all of that, I remember telling Brennan, I said, I can get behind vision. I can get behind excitement. I can get behind a new start, all of that. That to me is easy personality-wise. But what I really need in my life is somebody that I actually jive with and that I can just hang out with and feel like it's comfortable. And so for Lulu and I, we, essentially, it sounds cliche, but that's why I tell people, I'm like, when you ask God of things, he really does answer. It's just not always in the way that you would want. And so the transition, I think I was naive in thinking that I could just kind of replicate exactly what I was doing in terms of habits, routines, into the ministry that was here. And then I learned pretty quickly, okay, this is actually going to require a lot more from me, and it's going to stretch me, and I actually need to be willing to grow. And so that translated in every area of our lives in terms of, for Lulu and I in our marriage, we were like, oh crap, like we can't rely on who we were back there because we need to be willing to be stretched in a new way. And so to just be, direct, the transition for us from Florida to Bowling Green was one that was easy in terms of the decision being made, but was really hard once we finally settled in and we realized,
we actually got to do this.
We've got to do this thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, using corporate language, you serve as our number 2 at the church. And I don't think people really understand the value of the right people on the right team until you find the right team and feel like you're living in it. Because one of the greatest moments I feel like I get to live in right now, and again, we are just getting started, which is wild. I mean, we're not even 2 years old yet. But one of the things that I'm realizing is when you have the right team, then there's more wind at your back. And if you have the right team, it's much easier to trust when you don't know certain things that are happening. Yeah. Like there's more moments now in the last 4 months that I feel like things are happening around the church and I have no idea about them.
Yeah, it's funny though, and that's the dynamic of a church plant, is because when we started, you knew literally everything.
Yeah.
It was just you.
Yeah.
And that's how there's positive to that, but then there's also I was used to doing literally everything from a creative standpoint early on, and now I'm like, oh, I don't need to be doing it.
Yeah.
I don't need to know everything.
But the value of the team, I want to dig into that because I think our dynamic is unique, and I want to encourage some people because not only are we co-workers and serve on the same team, but there's boss dynamics here too. But mixed into that is we actually like hanging out with each other. And there's a brotherhood and there's a friendship there. One of my pastors always said, he said, never hire anybody you wouldn't hang out with on an off day. Which I'm like, that is gold, because what happens when you have people on your team that you don't just want to be around?
You don't want to go to work.
You don't want to go to work. And you're
it.
trying to, which I'm not saying everybody has to be like each other, but there is something to that culture piece of, hey, we can get in a room and not only can we get excited and kind of go in the same direction, but because of relationship, because we actually like each other, when we do disagree, it's much easier. We don't feel like we're stepping on toes or anything like that. Right. So I don't know, anything y'all want to speak into that about just value of team? Because y'all, I had y'all share what you do because creatively, Ross is the backbone of all that. From the podcast to the socials to all that all happens. And then I think people would be surprised, Gabe, at how much what happens on a Sunday in our church that's forward-facing is actually your hand on all of it. So, I don't know, anything you want to speak to about that?
Yeah, I actually want to take this I want to start here.
Okay.
It's important to have teams, but teams can't thrive without systems and structure.
Yeah.
And I have never been in a job that had a whole lot of system or structure. And so to step in and to see from the off rips when there were maybe 8 dream teamers, there was already structure and system, and there were tools that we were using to equip and to carry us into when we grow, we will be ready. Because I think deploying teams is great, but if they don't know what they're supposed to do with what they have, then it doesn't work.
Be clueless.
So yeah, that component of it has been cool to learn, but also obviously I feel the same way. There hasn't been a day that we've had something to do together, whether it's a meeting or I don't know, we had our offsite meeting that was 2 days. And it was some people would be dreading that. And I was I was looking forward to it. It's so
48 hours.
I was telling people, I think my roommates, I was yeah, I'm about to go to this meeting. It's 2 days. And they were like, bro, what? Work? It's going to suck. And I was like, no, it's not. It's going to be fun. But
we made it fun.
Yeah, the value of working with people that you enjoy, and then also I just think honest feedback is the best thing that a team can get, and I'm lucky to have a team that is very skilled, and also lucky to have leadership that's take chances, take risks, step up at the plate, swing. If you miss, it's okay.
Yep.
But
swing the bat.
Swing the bat.
Yeah.
Because if you don't swing, then you can't hit the ball.
Right.
So yeah, we have just in the creative team huddles that we have, I feel confident looking at the creative team and being hey, y'all each have your thing that you are killer at. I don't even know how to do some of the stuff that y'all are doing. So swing your bat.
Yeah.
Because when you hit the ball, it's going to be sick. It's going to be cool. It's going to be creative. I just, that's another rabbit hole I could go down. I hate creative teams hate's a strong word. I don't like when creative teams aren't creative.
Explain that.
Creativity is a God-given gift. Creativity doesn't have bounds or constraints. There are certain ways to deliver content on social media that algorithm likes or doesn't like. There's strategy. But when I see the same format of something just over and over and over again with no originality,
Yep.
it's you're building a team of people that probably is joining your creative team because they want to serve the Lord in the way that they feel like they've been blessed with a talent to create unique stuff. And so, yeah, it's I don't know if that's a leadership thing or if that's a time constraint thing or what it might be. But yeah, if you've got a team of gifted people, let them use their gifts to accelerate the vision of the mission of the team.
I think that's why there's a lot of freelance creatives that are Christians, is because somewhere along the way they got frustrated with not being able to create. Which there's two sides of that coin. There is the submission to the vision aspect where, okay, as a creative, my role is to serve the vision of the house. So if something that I really want to create does not deliver or serve the vision, I need to understand and be okay that that's not what we need to go with.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have to, as a leader, recognize that creative people want to create.
Yeah.
So I need to help them figure out how to create in such a way that delivers and advances the vision. Not what I always think it's supposed to look like or think. How many conversations have we had where I'm like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't.
The hat that Gabe's wearing right now.
Yeah.
That's a living example of you did not like that, but people in our church have already loved it.
And that's what I usually say. I don't like something, but that doesn't mean it's not what we need to do.
Right. But we've also had conversations that go the other way, that it's again, we were talking about merch this
Yeah.
morning, and I made a denim baseball jersey that like probably 3 people in our church might wear. So it was like, it's cool, but like, is that gonna suit like? And that's a small example of will that supply the mission?
Yep.
But also just like you have a sermon series and you know the vibe of it. I create a graphic that doesn't fit. I think it's sick. If you say I don't think that fits, then it's like, all right,
Yeah, you don't get your feelings hurt.
right. Like I mean, there's that's a team. It's I don't know how to say it other than that's what a team does is
Yeah.
communicate
Yeah.
to deliver
Yeah.
on what they're trying to do.
Well, creatives are, and I know we're talking a little bit in the creative space, but I think it's applicable across teams in general. But creatives are some of the best people to work with and sometimes some of the worst people to work alongside because it's like a starved artist, right? It's like, how much do I give so that it stokes the fire, but it doesn't allow the fire to just go run rampant and then you don't have any control over it. But I think sometimes with teams, and this is something I've learned over this past year and just over the many years of being a part of leading teams, one, I would say I've learned more in my failures in leading teams than like the wins, which was it's really hard, I think, to come to terms with that, because I would say as a leader and as a pastor and as a husband, as a dad, I learn more through the mistakes than I really do whenever I do something, quote unquote right. But I've realized that sometimes my tendency in leading teams is I'll think I need to almost hold things back because people aren't ready for it yet, or the right person hasn't walked in yet to be able to steward what I'm trying to communicate. And so we almost are in this, waiting room forever. And I just envision that scene out of Beetlejuice where they're just in that waiting room and they're like number 1,000,000 before they get called, and they just sit there anticipating something that's never really going to come.
Yeah.
And so I think with teams, it's learning, okay, it's actually okay for them to fail, so long as it's obviously something that they can learn from, and it's not just you're setting them up to fail. But with ministry especially, people are people, and so learning that people want to be cared for before they really even need a task. And so I think that's the shift for me, is learning that if I don't invest in people first and foremost so that they just feel seen from a pastoral perspective, so that they feel cared for, they'll complete a task for me just because, the pastor asked me, or creative director asked me, so therefore I'll get it done. But there won't be real buy-in emotionally and in terms of like a weight that they carry, so that if it does fall through, they're feeling the pressure, not just, it just didn't work out. So
I was thinking about yesterday, and I think we even talked about it after church, but like the fact that, this is our week, this is our job. Like we show up, we have meetings through the week, and Sunday is like, we get excited for Sunday. Anything that is happening in the church, like we're full out for it. And I think good leaders make people desire, or make people have passion for the things that go on, especially like talking in the church context. A good leader will make his or her team be on fire for the thing. Because it's really easy for, especially in the church context, for volunteers to just show up on Sunday, know the tasks to get checked off, and not really be like bought in. It's just, they're just serving because that's what they're checking off. But a good team gets fired up for the mission and wants to add to it in an excellent way because the leader has just made them want that. Not like, I think the best leader doesn't like say, hey, y'all get fired up for this. It's just like the passion that shows in the leader makes everybody else buy in.
Well, culture leaks. That's the principle and the idea that it's going to whatever. And this was a lesson that I tried to learn early. I'm still learning. As a leader, whatever I say, how I act, behave, my attitude, all of it is going to bleed on the people that I lead. So if I walk into an environment and I look stressed and frustrated,
Yeah, it
I
leaks.
automatically tighten up the environment.
Yep.
But the inverse of that is if I walk into an environment and I'm full of joy, I'm excited, I'm looking at people, not just past people, there's something that gets on the room. But the other thing that I feel like I'm learning, again, you would think after so long you would learn, not still be learning some of these things, but hello, I am, is that church, again, speaking to the context of church, I think as church leaders, we are really, really, really good. We're almost experts at trying to get people to be excited about our thing, but oftentimes neglect being excited about their thing. And so we place these high expectations, which rightfully so, of, hey, be it team night, be it this meeting, make sure you're there at, pre-service huddle and all these different things. But yet, how many pastors are showing up to the birthday parties and the kids' games? And
That's what sets it apart.
and stuff like that. And that's the thing that I feel like the Lord has really just been reminding me of, like, hey, don't just spend all your time trying to get everybody else excited about this thing. Add value and joy to their thing, not because it's trying to, hey, I give and get, but that's the two-way street of relationships. I've shared, maybe it was a couple months ago on another podcast or something, I forget, but one of the greatest or the biggest regrets I have in ministry was early on in the first couple of years, not here, but in other places, I realized how I had been in the same place, had the same routine for months and years on end, seeing the same people, but never really actually knowing them any deeper. And that broke my heart, that I knew the person's name holding the door that was going to be at the 8 o'clock service every single Sunday.
You didn't know
and we
anything
had the
about it.
same conversation week after week after week, and it was always 5 inches deep.
Well, I think that's what sets our church apart, is that doesn't happen.
And what we try to say, too, is, like, I think some people also walk in and have the expectation that they're going to get that with everybody.
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
and I just always try to remind them, hey, the expectation, the goal isn't that you come in and know everybody.
Yeah.
But the goal is that you do get to really know somebody.
And we are blessed to have a guest experience team that I don't think it would matter who the leader was. They are going to care.
Yeah.
Somebody new walks in the door, they are going to go approach that person, learn their name, and learn something about them.
Yep.
And that's just like, that goes back to culture. You were talking about culture. And that's something that won me over at City Light, was that the culture didn't just exist. It was literally in black and white writing.
Yeah.
That was presented to us at the launch gatherings.
Yep.
And then not only was it presented, but then you can see it live out and you can see it hold up. And it wasn't like, there was never a time that it's like, this is one of our values, but Brennan doesn't really have joy. Joy is not his attitude. It is. Like, every single one of our values is like, all right,
Yeah.
like this is how we operate every day.
We try to live into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say too, most people, like, especially in the church space, in the ministry world, and this isn't just specific to pastors, I think this is to anybody who's really passionate about what God is doing locally in their church. Many people don't fail because of a lack of, like, anointing on their life, or a lack of vision that they have, or a lack of excitement around something that they feel like God's placed on their heart. But I would say most people fail because of a lack of alignment amongst their teams and their people around them. And I think you see evidence of that all throughout Scripture. You look at all the kings. It wasn't a lack of anointing for the kings. though there were some really bad ones, but even the good ones. Eventually, over time, the people started to have a divide and division, and idols were being built, and then there was an abandoning of God's laws and what He said, hey, this is best for prosperity. And then eventually it crumbled. And so I don't think people need more anointing or more gifts or more, if I was just able to speak better, if I just had a platform, if I just had a team to lead, it's like, hey, start with the people around you to see if they're aligned and on pace with what you feel like God's leading you towards. Because if not, that'll be the splintering that ultimately leads to a fracture.
Yeah.
Yeah, early on, which I didn't expect this. I expected as a church plant that it was like any and everybody that comes willing to serve, bring them on. Like, if they're willing at all. But like, as leaders, you all have shown me, like, no, if you have somebody that is willing, but then is not holding up to the standard, then it's more important to be able to have that hard conversation and be like, I don't know if now's the right time, or maybe find a better avenue for them.
Well, it's discipleship to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is, hey, number one, you said yes to this. Ultimately, you said yes to the call to follow Jesus, but this is just a byproduct of following Jesus, is serving the bride of Christ. But you said you wanted to do this, but you're not fulfilling that commitment. That's a discipleship moment to be able to come alongside them and say, remember the commitment you made? And it's never condemning or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it is an honest conversation. I'm thankful for all the honest conversations people have had with me,
Yeah.
because I've needed them. I've gotten in my feels and all the different things. But yeah, I think it's a moment of discipleship, frankly. But I want to pull out a little bit and think not just about church, because I know people may be listening and they're saying either I'm not a part of a church team, or I don't even know, I've never even been to Bowling Green. I want them to hear this too, because we're talking about this in the context of team, because we work together and we know one another. But what really is, I think, the secret sauce to our dynamic is the brotherhood that we've developed, where, like, I'm doing your premarital and you guys are getting married. Gabe and I have been through multiple seasons together. Gabe, I want to throw it to you first. Talk a little bit about what is the value of, like, having people in your life that really know you and are really speaking to alignment, have aligned themselves with you for the long haul. Speak to that for a moment.
Yeah, Lulu and I talk about this often, I think, these days, because her and I have had some, I wouldn't say like arguments about it, but we've had some very honest discussion of, so context, I've had like a really, really close core group of friends in my life that I met when I was in high school who, a handful of them for sure are some of the first people that I would call if things were like really, really bad in my life, and I know that they would pick up immediately. And that's something that I think I took for granted, because it was just something that was by the grace of God that it happened. And my wife, that hasn't been the case, where it just kind of happened out of nowhere. But throughout the years, it took a lot of sort of work and effort. And then whenever something was established, it would feel like it was kind of taken away for a variety of reasons. And so I would say it genuinely is life or death for your life, and not literally, but from a spiritual perspective and from an emotional perspective, having people in your circle that you feel like they know me when I don't have a mask on in front of people. Because we all have masks that we wear, and I think that's probably necessary, right? If you're a CEO of a business, you don't want every single person in your company to see all of your preferences, all of your hobbies, not because they're bad, but just because it's private, it's personal. And the more we are personal to more people, the more open we are to potentially being harmed in a way that wasn't entirely necessary to begin with. And so I would say one of the things that I've had to come to terms with being in ministry, but also just a person who's following Jesus like anybody else, I think this is applicable to anybody's wherever they're operating in their context. The core people in your life, the people that you're like, man, they know me for who I am, and they've seen sort of my scars, and that they know my wounds and the things I'm still working through. It's actually a lot smaller than I sometimes wish it was, because I wish I had like 50 people that I could say confidently, man, they know exactly who I am. But to be honest with you, it's really like 5 to 6 that I'm like really confident. And
you wish you had 50?
I think sometimes I do, because then I could pick and choose what I wanted to hear. And maybe that is probably a personality defect in me of like I know myself well enough to know if I go to somebody specifically, I know what I'm going to receive from them. Sometimes I don't want to hear that. And so I think I wish I had more people so I could know what I wanted to hear was something I would receive, as opposed to the 5 to 6 people that I know I need to hear something, and they'll just tell me straight.
Yeah.
And so that core group, which again, that's I think by design, and I think that's how God would want it, because it actually forces you to face things that you don't always feel necessarily prepared for, but you need to. And so that core group is a lot smaller than I think we anticipate. And it takes time, it takes effort, but ultimately, and maybe this just sounds weird to say, but I think it does start in-house. I think it does start internally, and then if you're not honest with yourself, then how do you anticipate to be honest with the people around you? And so I've had some really funny, I guess maybe it would be the word that I would use, like car conversations with myself, where I'm like, dude, you're being an idiot. Like, don't be an idiot. And then I'll just have to like tell somebody, hey, friend, I'm being an idiot.
Yeah.
I need you to set me straight.
Yeah.
So that's how I would respond.
But you're also really receptive to feedback.
Yeah, I'd say I'm, sports background, and then personality wise, I enjoy being coached. I even though it might hurt a little bit in terms of the pride as a guy, where you don't want to necessarily have somebody tell you you're not doing something as well as you could or as best as you can. Once you move past that initial emotion, you're like, it either flips a switch to where you're going to be better on the other side, or you're just going to wallow and then sulk. And so feedback is like it's essential to my life.
Yeah.
So I need it.
That's something that our dynamic is very like coach, receive the feedback, implement the feedback, and just go. It's never like personal. Obviously, from a sports perspective, if your coach is coaching you on something, he's trying to help you achieve the goal of winning. So
your technique's off, or whatever it is.
Like, it's not personal. It's like, for me, I could never play cover 2 right. I finally had a coach that explained it like, hey, no, it's not personal.
Yeah.
If you could drop into the flat a little bit better, then we would win better.
Yeah, it's better for the team.
Yeah, like, okay, so then I take that and am appreciating feedback is, yeah.
Well, speaking of the 5 to 6, I want to double click on that, because I meet a lot of people that are discouraged that they only have like 3 to 5 friends.
Dude, you said that you prefer 50. I would prefer like I want to be able to count it on a hand.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people confuse having a lot of acquaintances with having a lot of friends. And I'm like Ross, where the older I get, the more I want a few really good friendships, not just ones that, you have the friendships where y'all see each other after a couple of years and it's like nothing passed. So you just pick up right where you left off. I'm talking about the people that like you talk to consistently.
Yeah.
And I love having, that. But one thing, I was talking to a couple that we know last night, and they're about to leave our church because of job, and they're just moving. And talking to the girl, and she was really she was bummed. And I said, so why are you bummed or nervous? She said, because I feel like I'm leaving community for the first time. And I just tried to encourage them both of like, community is what you make it.
Yeah.
You can make community where you go. The question is going to be, are you going to be willing to hang in through the awkward initial seasons? Because
Yeah.
sometimes people show up to church and they're looking for community, or show up to a new city and they're looking for community, but they don't want to go through the work
Having
it
to
takes
meet
to actually
the dating
make
season.
friends.
Yeah.
It really is dating.
It really is. Like,
Yeah.
there's a reason we call it making friends.
Yeah. You have to make it happen.
You have to make it happen. You have to send the text.
All right.
You have to.
What would you say to the person that goes to a church looking to make it happen and it just can't happen? Like, it just doesn't. Like, they just don't click with anybody.
How long have they been going?
Say they've been there for like years on end.
Years,
They've tried,
and
they've tried to connect with people in small group. They've tried to connect with people on their teams. They've tried to. They're not a walk in, walk out person. They like are trying.
They just don't jive.
Yeah.
Find a place where they jive.
Yeah. Idiots.
Easy. No, like that is because again, I'm not going to get super theological, but if it's your faith family,
Yeah.
that means you need to be spending more time with them than just a hello and a goodbye on Sunday.
Yeah.
So if I get to choose the family that's adopting me, I'm going to make sure I like the family.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying people should leave churches because, they went in 3 times and somebody
Yeah.
didn't say hello. And that's not what I'm saying.
No, but maybe to give somebody the permission to say like, hey, you've been somewhere for this long now and you haven't found your community, then
And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's okay to say, I just don't connect.
yeah.
Now, to say that community doesn't happen, that's an indictment that I don't think is fair.
Fair,
But
sure.
I don't personally connect, and I've tried for, in your example, years. Find someone where you connect, man.
Yeah.
Woman
I
of
mean,
God. I don't know who's asking the question.
I was going to say, though, too, or you might have some red flags that is inhibiting
Totally
you
possible.
from like
Sure.
you're the one when people you leave the room, everybody's like, man, that was
That was tough. That guy.
So maybe start there.
Start
Yep.
it yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm saying having those honest conversations with yourself, which again sounds very bizarre, but I'm like, who else knows you better than when you're honest with yourself, if that makes sense? It's like if you're not honest with yourself, then you can kind of play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like I know when I'm being fake.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I know when I'm forcing it. I know when I'm like trying to have an end goal in a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do that more often than not, to be honest.
What's,
Like,
this just came to me. What's the weirdest thing that you think you do?
oh gosh, like mannerisms or like
just in
idiosyncrasies?
general, like when you walk out of majority of conversations,
Gosh,
what's the
this
weirdest
is
thing you do
exposing.
that maybe somebody else or Lulu would
Okay.
say every time you do that it's strange? Why do you do that?
There's a couple of things. I would say one of the obvious things that I definitely get dogged on for, and I fully embrace it. I leave social events probably way too prematurely, and I do it without like honoring the people who are there, who invited
At
me.
my engagement party at your house.
Dude,
I walked in, everybody was like, what's up? Surprise, Gabe was in there. And then I literally like walked to the living room and walked back and he was already gone. He never said anything.
I'm gonna be so honest. I don't even know where that stems from because my family, being Brazilian, like you stay way
don't go
too
home.
long. But there's just something in me, and this is actually something that, like, I'm a pretty confident person, I would say. But there are certain situations where I will start thinking about what the other person may be thinking, and depending on what I think they're thinking, will then impact how much I engage in terms of energy. Here's an
My
example.
brain hurts listening to that.
I'll explain it. When we were texting about hanging out for our birthdays, you threw out a text casually of like, "Hey, should we do something?" And it was
I know
like,
where this is going.
and it was like late at night, and so it was kind of like it was in the group text, and it was just kind of like casual. A few days pass, And then we're a day or two from today, and I'm like talking with Lulu. I'm like, are we doing something? And then I started to panic because I'm like, yeah, but what if he wasn't being genuine? And if then I were to initiate, are we doing something? They then feel obligated to do something or to say, hey, no, sorry, we're not. It was a joke.
My
So
favorite part is Lulu texted and said, "Are we doing something or not?" Gabe's about to crash out.
So that's where the party and social event starts to come into play, because I'm like, I don't ever want the host or the people there to think, man, like, who's gonna leave? Who's gonna initiate starting to leave? So I'll throw myself under the bus and be like, I'll initiate.
Hey, you
all
initiated
of
pretty
that.
quick.
So that I would say is like the
That's crazy.
major thing that I do.
So you peace out early. That's
Yeah,
it.
I overanalyze.
The weirdest thing I do?
Rose, yeah.
I really don't know. I don't know if I'm self-aware enough. I probably
I don't know if I'm self-aware enough.
Gotta have an honest conversation with yourself, buddy.
I think I might like over-explain things, or to an extent, kind of like agree with Gabe. Like, I try to think if I'm going to communicate something, like how are they going to receive what I'm communicating? Not that that's a bad thing, but like maybe I try to be like too. I don't know how to articulate. Like, I don't want to burden somebody with something that like isn't a burden. It's just something that they would do.
So you don't say it? Is that what you're saying?
No. Like, I'll say it, but I'll be like overly like, if you can't do it, not a big deal. Like, I'm not in a rush.
You're an apologizer.
Yeah,
You say
apolo-
no for people
Oh,
is
dude.
what that
Well,
is.
kind of, yeah. Or it's just like no rush. I don't really need this in any hurry, but it's like, please get it.
You're like, shut up.
I don't know. That might not be the weirdest thing. There's probably weirder things I do.
I'm trying to think what the weirdest thing would be.
For me or for you?
No, for me.
Answer for me. What's the weirdest thing I do?
Which one do you want me to do first? You want me to do me or
Do me first.
okay? Y'all got to do me too. I would.
What do you mean by that?
I gotta say, for Ross, the weirdest thing you do. I would for sure. It's got to be clean your room when you're mad.
That's
Oh,
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Ava exposed you on
Yeah,
that.
she was explaining. I mean, that's the best way I know how to explain that.
Just get sprayed.
That's what I do. I think I'm trying to organize my brain. Like, I'm trying to, I don't know.
It makes
Dude.
sense. It's still weird.
Bro,
That would piss me off
when I
if
get
I'm in
mad-
like a discussion.
When I get mad, my room gets clean, dude.
All right, B.
Am I doing you?
You can. I was thinking you were gonna throw yourself under.
Yeah, let me do that because I can't think of one right now for you. I feel like I over-explain a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's in your brain then.
Okay.
You just under-explain, dude. I never know what to do.
I try. I feel like most days, the overarching thought in my brain is be clear, be clear, be clear, be clear.
I actually think that you do that really well. I don't think if you think that you're over-explaining, you're probably explaining the right amount to
That's
somebody.
fair.
There have been lots of times where like I actually am starting to catch myself doing this because of the way that you do it. It's like you'll explain something and you see the blank stare, and then you're like, "Let me put it this way."
Yeah.
And you explain it a completely different way, and
Yeah.
it just clicks with the person.
I don't
Okay.
say anything. I just stare back. Wait for them. I don't think that's weird. I'm trying to think of one that wouldn't be like, "Hey, man, don't say that." I'm sure Corey's got a few, but you and Corey are like polar opposites.
Yeah, we are.
Like polar opposite personality wise. I think something that, so this is where you and I are so different. You genuinely enjoy like, oh, it's gonna sound so bad for me. I like being around people, but
Oh yeah.
you like really like being around people. And sometimes I'm like, dude, I'm out, man. I can't.
We had 2 events this weekend, a Saturday and a Sunday
Oh.
night. I was like, let's go.
Bro, it gave me anxiety. I was like, bro, I'm capped.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you really enjoy, like, to a fault in my mind, being around people. I'm like, brother, go home. You just
I will.
take a
I'm
day
the
off.
same as you, Gabe.
I'll put somebody on the dinner calendar every night of the week. But, wisdom says that don't do that. So
And Corey, I know, is like, yo, I'm going to get my
Chill out on
PJs
that.
on and
Yeah.
just read a book.
she's like, "Ooh, it's 7." Ross,
I would say that it's
we're gonna close with this. I'll make it good.
it's definitely and this is probably just super normal, but it's I think it's weird to me because I can read it just after working with you, like I know you, but like when you're in a conversation
I
with somebody
knew you
on a
were gonna
Sunday, bro is like not locked in at all, but the person is like telling them their life story, and homie's just like
I am fighting.
elite though. Like the person definitely thinks that he's locked in.
I'm trying my
But I'll be over like
hardest.
doing something, and I'm like just watching, and I'm like knowing
Dude,
exactly what's
no
happening.
lie, somebody, I won't say who because, but somebody asked me, and thankfully it was a person that like I know well enough to where it's like not going to lead to anything. Like, oh crap. But like they asked me if I had ADD because I was like not at all locked into their conversation.
They asked you in the conversation.
Yeah. Because I was like looking at teardown stuff and simultaneously trying to engage in like this conversation and was like sort of like doing the, kind of a, I don't know what I was doing, a head thing where I was kind of like rocking back. And they're like, do you have ADD? And I said, I literally was like, no, but now that you say it, maybe.
Well, that's
So that's
just,
bad.
But that's something about like on Sunday morning. That's just
Well, they were
We're-
sharing about
we're-
the relationship and like who, potentially a spouse. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah, that's your fault.
I know. So there's
but like,
that.
what do you? Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, Sunday is one of those things where you try really, really hard, and there's some conversations that, okay, nothing else matters, but the conversation of like, I'm going to see you tomorrow morning,
Yeah.
and
There's also just a
just a
lack
bunch
of
of things going.
a lack of awareness sometimes, just because people haven't been in the scenario in the position.
Mm-hmm.
But like, not only do you have the message that you're about to preach in the forefront of your mind, but also is that HDMI cable gonna stay plugged in and not ruin? Like
That's
and
your two problems
it's
right
like
there.
bro. It's like all the different things, and then the people that just walk in on Sunday and then walk out.
Yeah.
like
Sam-
they just don't understand the.
Sam called me, which Sam was on the podcast, second episode, I think, or third, I don't know. But he called me yesterday morning at like 6:30. I didn't pick up. Calls me again at like 7:15. I didn't pick up. Calls me again like 7:45. I didn't pick up. Then he texts me. He's like, "Son, you better wake up." And I texted him back. I said, "Dog, I've been pushing carts and rolling cables since 5:30. What
Yeah.
you mean?" He's like, "Go get it."
Yeah, it's-
But it is that behind the scenes stuff that
Different,
nobody really
yeah,
knows. So,
yeah.
anyway, well, thanks for hanging out with us on the pod today. I wanted you guys to get to hear from these two because literally everything that we do probably flows through their hands at some point or another. And so I honor you both. Thank you for everything that you do to make our church better, the podcast better. And so if it was an interesting listen at all to you, go ahead and like it, subscribe to it, drop us a comment. We're posting something new and fresh every single week that we think is going to help you and encourage you. So we love you, and we'll see you on the next episode.